Superiority rarely begins with genuine strength. It often develops from the psychological need to feel elevated above others, because equality feels threatening to a fragile sense of identity. A person may begin measuring their worth through intelligence, status, wealth, appearance, education, morality, achievement, influence, or social position. The mind creates a hierarchy in which being above others becomes evidence of being valuable. This can develop through excessive praise, intense competition, humiliation, rejection, insecurity, or environments where weakness is treated as failure. Sometimes the person learns that respect comes from dominance rather than connection. Sometimes superiority becomes compensation for feelings of inadequacy that are too painful to acknowledge directly. By focusing constantly on what makes them better than others, the person avoids confronting the parts of themselves they fear are insufficient. Comparison becomes a psychological defense. Another person's weakness provides reassurance. Another person's failure creates temporary relief. Another person's success creates discomfort because it threatens the position that supports the person's identity. The individual may become dismissive, judgmental, competitive, or unable to appreciate another person's strengths without immediately comparing them to their own. Even genuine accomplishments can become psychologically unhealthy when they are used primarily to establish rank. The person is no longer simply succeeding. They are trying to prove that they deserve to stand above others. The hidden roots of superiority often lie in a fragile relationship with self-worth. When internal value is uncertain, hierarchy provides an external structure for feeling significant. Being better becomes more important than being authentic. The person may secretly fear being ordinary, overlooked, powerless, or irrelevant. So superiority becomes a defense against those possibilities. This creates constant pressure because maintaining a superior identity requires continuous comparison. There's always someone more successful, knowledgeable, attractive, wealthy, influential, or accomplished. As a result, superiority can never provide permanent security. It demands constant evidence. Relationships also suffer because genuine intimacy requires the ability to recognize another person's equal humanity. A person who must remain above others may struggle to listen, apologize, learn, admire, or accept correction. They may interpret another person's confidence as arrogance and another person's success as competition. Healing begins when worth becomes independent of rank. A person can recognize their strengths without turning them into weapons of comparison. They can acknowledge someone else's excellence without feeling diminished. They can learn from people without feeling inferior. They can admit limitations without experiencing humiliation. The deepest transformation occurs when the mind realizes that equality is not a loss of status. It is freedom from the exhausting need to constantly establish status. You do not become less valuable because someone else is exceptional. You do not become insignificant because someone else receives admiration. You do not need to dominate a room to possess dignity. Genuine confidence can coexist with humility because it does not depend on being above anyone. Superiority weakens when the person no longer needs comparison to confirm existence. At that point, achievement becomes personal expression rather than social competition. Knowledge becomes something to share rather than a weapon. And strength becomes something that does not require another person to feel small. The deepest form of psychological power is not standing above others. It is becoming secure enough to stand beside them without needing to prove that you belong higher.